Overstock.com CEO Patrick Byrne today resigning after 20 years of guiding the company into one of the premier shopping sites on the internet. His letter of resignation mentions the turmoil that was caused by his admission last month of a bizarre series of events involving a Russian spy, the FBI, and what he describes as a destructive deep state within that institution. Here now to explain it all for himself is Patrick Byrne. Patrick, great to see you. I'm all ears. Why did you resign?
Well, first, I'm going to talk about Overstock. Tuesday was our 20th anniversary. We just had a big party. Everything's in a perfect place. It's for a perfect time for me to resign. On the blockchain side, the killer app of blockchain is securities tokens. Our company there, T0, was just voted in an internet thing. 61% said it's the most likely to win that race. We've got 22 other blockchain properties we're involved in, and they are the leaders in their respective disruptive areas. The retail business has returned to EBITDA profitability the last quarter. Everything's, once I stopped trying to chase the monsters who lose $3 billion and said, we're just going to focus on being this technological masterpiece and make money. And I think we have the most successful, the most numbers of GAAP profitable years of any B2C e-commerce company I know of. I really do. And we did it on a dollop of the capital that everyone else had. So all of that's in a perfect place. Here, but there's this other issue, and no, I'm not getting chased out. And the board, this is me ejecting, and I have to. I have to because I've been warned that if I come forward to America, that the apparatus of Washington is going to grind me into a dust. And that's going to happen, and I have to get that away from the company. It's only right. Why is it going to grind me into a dust? I can tell that you caught me off guard last time, David, and I can tell what I said some Sparkies out there, they didn't quite get the joke. When I say that I know about the Russia and Clinton investigation, this is what I mean. Because 17 years ago, I helped them crack a murder, and they knew me, and I helped them a bit on Wall Street 12 years ago. They knew me, and they called me in 2015, 2016 to assist in something. And I didn't know who the orders came from, but I assisted. It's some very honorable federal agents and very honorable people. But they named some names, and they didn't name the names. That's it. I didn't know who it came from, and I took some orders that seemed a little fishy in 2015, 2016. Last summer, watching television, I figured out the name of who sent me the orders, and this has all now been confirmed to me. The name of the man who sent me the orders was a guy named Peter Strzok.
Oh, my goodness. Does that mean anything?
Got it? Capiche? Yeah. So this is going to be quite a whirlwind. And I have to, it's only right.
That's huge news, Peter. That hasn't been revealed so far as I know as of yet, but
this is it.
Peter Strzok. So are you working with the Attorney General in his investigation?
Let me be clear. I'm not working with anybody. I want to spend the rest of my life. The last time I talked to federal officers 5 months ago, and I explained everything to them between April 5th and 30th, over a course of 7 hours, and then I disappeared. Bill Barr, there's going to be a sculpture of granite of this guy somewhere. I've been sitting on this stuff for 3 years. I couldn't come forward until there was rule of law in this country. I wasn't going to go forward when this guy, Jeff Sessions, Truman said of an opponent, I could carve a better man out of a banana. That's how America should feel about Jeff Sessions. We have rule of law, and I came forward to them in April. I believe what I understand, and I don't want to get in any federal way. I want to disappear, but there are other whistleblowers from within the federal bureaucracy with similar stories. And I can tell you the bottom line, and again, people didn't seem to get it last time. The bottom line is the big cover-up. There was political espionage conducted against Hillary Clinton, Mark Rubio, Cruz, and Donald Trump. And this isn't a theory of mine. This is some political position. I was in the room when it happened. I was part of it. I thought I was doing law enforcement. Sorry.
Hey, Patrick, Gary Smith, welcome to the show, and I hope the rest of your post-CEO career goes well. Question first of all, your story sounds like it should be a movie for theatrical release, so I want to know who's going to be playing you. More importantly, you
Denzel
mentioned...
Washington. I'll cooperate with anyone who can get Denzel Washington to play me.
Sounds good.
You mentioned during the break that you're going to have a rough few months. I'm curious as to why you said that and what you see happening in the next few weeks and months. Do you have legal counsel? What do you think will happen with you and with your story?
Well, this is extraordinarily... Well, who the heck knows? This is quite a ambiguous situation. But the issue is, I realized that these orders I got came from Peter Strzok, and as I put together things, I know much more than I should know, and it's right to keep silent. This country's gone nuts, and especially for the last year, when I've realized what I know, every time I see one of these things, somebody drives 600 miles to gun down 20 strangers in a mall, I guess I feel a bit responsible. So I have to come forward. I went to see my rabbi, and you know who my rabbi is, right? Mm-hmm. Who's my rabbi? Who's my rabbi, David?
Tell us, Patrick.
It's this guy in Omaha, and he said, Patrick, you come forward. He said, you can't let this sit with the feds. Let the feds do their job. You have to come forward to the American people. So I am. I never heard of the guy. I only figured out last summer who had sent me these requests. It was a guy named Peter Strzok, and he was doing it on behalf of 3 officials. I'm just identifying now as X, Y, and Z. They were named to me, and I've identified them to law enforcement. I believe there's a massive federal investigation that is going to turn up that there was political espionage conducted through a number of different venues against Hillary Clinton and against Rubio, Cruz, and Trump. I know for a fact. I know other people who were involved. That's what really happened. And my rabbi has said, you can't go another, you have to do this right now. People are killing each other in America. This is my Soylent Green is people moment or whatever. That's the truth. And
Patrick, I'm just curious, I'm sure this was a very difficult thing for you to come to terms with and to deal with, and there was so much at risk for you personally. How do you see your life unfolding after this? I mean, you gave up your CEO position. I understand why. You have to do what's right for the shareholders, but making a decision to get involved in this has, cost you a lot.
Well, what can I say? I guess what my... that's not the main event. And Buffett and I talked about that. And he actually said, the analysis here, Patrick, is what's good for the country. It's not what's good for you. It's not what's good for this or that. It's what's good for the country. You have to do this. So I did. My life, if you want to know what, I have literally been warned that I was warned about 9 months ago, if you come forward Washington, D.C., everybody in Washington, D.C. is going to spend the rest of your life trying to grind you into dust. And I'll tell you something else that'll come up. I believe I was offered $1 billion bribe to keep quiet. So I was, in the sense, we'll leave that to the federal investigators.
By the way,
if you want to know what
Patrick,
my life, if you want to know what my life's going to be, listen to Warren Zevon, Money, Guns, and Lawyers. That's my life.
Yeah, Patrick, you mentioned your rabbi. Without revealing too much, were you talking about a man named Buffett?
Yeah.
Warren Buffett, who we should mention,
So,
by the
Patrick,
way, you worked with Warren Buffett. He acted as a mentor for you. Have you been taking advice from him on a regular basis now about all that's happened to you?
Just once on this. I was one of the great tailwinds in my life as I met him. Pardon me for being verklempt.
It's understandable through all,
Patrick,
when you think of all you've been through. But just finish. Go ahead.
I met him when I was 13. And I call him Rabbi. If he'll call me, he'll leave a message. Tell Patrick his rabbi's calling. And we have that. That's probably the right way to describe our relationship in a way, although neither of us are Jewish. And he gives me advice. And I went to see him on June 20th, I think it was. And he told me, you have to do this. I've been trying to do it gracefully this summer. And anyway, go ahead.
Zach,
so Patrick, you're the CEO of a company that you started. You have a board, you have shareholders, you've got employees, and I've just got to ask you, Why were you involved in any of this, whatever any of this is? And I don't really know how to make heads or tails of it, although I'm sure it's going to be fodder for every conspiracy theory known to man. But why? I mean, you're also a CEO, and you have a fiduciary responsibility. You could have just said, look, this is not my lane. I'm not going there. And that's not an appropriate division of labor. That would have been an absolutely honorable and legitimate thing to say.
Well, I'm a citizen, too. I'm a flag-waving hippie like Jerry Garcia. I'm a citizen. And I think that as a citizen, we have duties, too. And if everybody helped out a little bit when they had a chance, life would be much easier. I've helped out twice in my life. Once when a friend of mine got murdered. I helped a guy named Brian Williams, and if you Google his name and mine, you'll find this story. A friend of mine was murdered. I helped the feds bring the murderer to justice, and it was my honor to help them bring the murderer to justice. And I helped them back 2005 to 2010 take down Wall Street. And both catching my friend's murderer and taking on Wall Street were consistent with my values, and it was my honor to help the men in black then. And it was just this third time they came to me, and I got some requests. I didn't know who the hell it came from, and it was fishy. And 3 years later, I'm watching television, and I realized who it was. It was Peter Strzok and Andy McCabe, and that's who these orders came from.
By the way, just to make clear, that's not a Make America Great hat exactly, is it?
No, it isn't. What is it?
Make America Grateful Again, correct?
Right, with a Grateful Dead Steely.
Okay.
Look, when you see these lights or so.
Yeah.
Right.
Patrick,
Jonathan, go ahead.
Patrick, very briefly, it's Jonathan Honig. Thank you for being with us. I think to Zach's point, you were CEO of a publicly traded company. You started the company. It's hard to see how some of this didn't have some impact on shares. I know there was a Deep Capture, which is a website that you were involved with that had some legal troubles. This might sound a little curt,
I
sir,
lost a suit in Canada. It lost a lawsuit in Canada. You're a journalist. You're supposed to defend the First Amendment. I didn't even have to do that. I have the same journalistic protections as the laws protect you. I didn't even have simply to fight for free speech. I took that case on in Canada. You're a journalist. You should stand up for me on something like that.
Well, let me ask you just briefly, because you were, as the CEO, the person who started the company, this might sound a little curt, but how does it feel to see the stock rally when you step down?
Look, well, there's this very odd, I feel great about it, because not only am I a shareholder now, and as a shareholder, I think I can actually tell you, given that what I've done, I don't think there's anything unethical about me saying this. Given what I've done, I didn't choose this fight. I'm doing it. If you want to help me, go buy your daughter a rug at Overstock.com. If you want to help me out, because the entirety of Washington, D.C., even though I've left the company, is going to be coming after who the heck knows. What's your question? It seems silly to me. You're a journalist. You should be smarter and stand for principles more than that question illustrated. Of course you have duties as a citizen, even when you're CEO. I never involved the company in anything. The company's completely unrelated. I have, extracurricular activities. I skydive, I surf, and twice in my life, when a friend of mine got murdered and when a bunch of goons on Wall Street, I figured out what they were doing. I helped the federal government take them down. And when they told me that they needed my help with this, and I thought I was helping with legitimate law enforcement, I helped them. It turns out I was a tool in a game of political espionage. I didn't know that. I only figured it out last summer. I thought that I was doing something legitimate, and a tiny little thing on the side that took me a little bit of time away from the office. And it turns out it was political espionage. I only figured it out a year ago.
Yeah, Patrick.
And by the way, for those who don't know, hold on a second, guys.
Who was asking that question? What's the name of that fool?
That was Jonathan Honig. But let me just say, hold on a second. Let me just say before things get too out of control here, that Patrick Byrne is one person who has never focused on the day-to-day movement of his stock, because he realizes how mercurial that stock movement can be. So, Patrick, in defense of your stand with regard to the stock, that's a long-standing one. But what happens now with regard to the whole blockchain that you have brought into Overstock as a part of Overstock? I know that you feel that that's a mission of yours. Where does that go from here?
Oh, that's great. I've had an idea that this is probably coming since last July, since I put the jigsaw together. I didn't see there was any way that something like this would let's say likely happen someday. Who the heck knows? I've been preparing very carefully. These companies, are some of these companies, if they existed before we started them, it's just like some young guys, some Java monkeys with a blockchain idea. Hey, let's build a blockchain central bank. And it's like the show Silicon Valley. If you're ever sitting in it's like a bunch of guys like that. We would show up, provide capital, professionalize them, turn them real. Those companies, now they have boards of directors, they have capital, they're all over the world, they're solid companies, and we have this tremendous reservoir of blockchain talent back in Utah, right here in Utah, that sort of services all the other parts of the network. So it's really and John, the guy really who built this, I was maybe the blueprint, the draftsman, Jonathan Johnson, who's this great colleague of mine for 17 years, has built that and fleshed it in and has done a great job. He's becoming CEO, and he's super capable.
Well, and it's an extraordinary idea, and I know both you and I think that there is something to this that may actually undermine some of the central bank nonsense that we're seeing go on right now. So
you know what Sowell said about central banks?
We have to run. We have to have you back, Patrick. Please come back and see us again. All right.
I'm laying low.
All right. Well, when you stick your head up again, we'd love to have you on. Okay.
Take care, sir. Thanks for having me on all this
Byrne.
time. Bye bye.